Okay, perfect. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us. Today's conversation is part of our Sikhs in Action series, co-presented by Sikh Foundation and UC Santa Cruz Sarbjit Singh Aurora Chair in Sikh and Punjabi Studies. First and foremost, we invite you to use the Q&A button to submit questions or reflections at any point during the discussion, and we will get to as many as we can during our discussion in the next hour or so. Before introduction, let me try to articulate what we are trying to get the conversation going today. So at the heart of the conversation, there is a paradox that I want to start discussing today. Sikhs deeply believe in Seva, that is the selfless service to others. For example, the langar, the community kitchen where anyone sits and anyone eats, has been running for 500 years. It's one of the most remarkable institutions of collective care in human history. And yet, research bears this out. Seva builds trust. Trust is the foundation of institutions, and institutions are the foundation of prosperity. That is more or less the last string was the idea behind the 2024 Nobel Prize in Economics. And yet, Punjab, the heartland of Sikh community, the state that once led India in prosperity, has fallen from first to roughly 10th in per capita over the last 4 decades. Its water table is collapsing. Its young people are leaving, or worse, staying and losing themselves to drug crisis that is both cause and symptoms of something much deeper. Overall, its institutions are corroded by corruption and distrust. How does a community so committed to Seva produce such failing institutions? And that's the paradox that we are going to discuss today in this conversation. My name is Sampreet Goraya. I'm an assistant professor of economics at the Stockholm School of Economics, where my research focus on firm dynamics, labor markets, and development economics, with a particular focus on India. I grew up with ties to Amritsar in Punjab. Like many of you, I carry that place with me in ways that are not easy to articulate, but are impossible to ignore. I'm an academic, not a philanthropist, but I've spent enough time thinking about why places and communities get stuck to know that the problems we are talking today are real, that the standard solutions are insufficient, and the conversation we are about to have matters. Today's guest have spent his life building things. Gurpreet Sani Singh grew up in Punjab and came to United States where he founded Edifex in 1996, a healthcare technology company whose work now touches the life of over 215 million patients. That alone would have been a remarkable story, but what makes Sunny's story worth conversation like this is what comes next. Rather than stepping back, he steps forward towards Punjab. Through Round Glass Foundation, he's now working with over 3,000 villages in Punjab right now, with the plan to reach around 12,500 villages in the next 10 years or so. He's building youth sports centers, learn labs, women empowerment programs, and a billion tree reforestation projects. Not as a separate charity project, but a single integrated bet on what a community actually needs to flourish. Please join me in welcoming Sunny Singh. Sunny, we are very happy to have you here. Let me get to the real question here. What do you think is the real problem behind the failing institution or the problems that the Punjab is facing right now?
Um, that's a really big question, and there's no simple answer per se. I think what Punjab really needs is a collective, concerted, concentrated approach, not just by the government, because the government can only do so much, they have only so much resources, but leadership in Punjab itself, which is non-political, Punjabi leadership outside of Punjab, globally, and to the extent people who are interested in the state of Punjab, how can we, people who have the intellectual, experiential horsepower, how do we bring them together to kind of focus on the problems of Punjab? So if you look at lack of investment in Punjab, you look at the youth problem, you look at the drug problem, you look at the disparity, you look at the state of some of the very poor areas in Punjab. It's a potpourri of problems. It's just not one problem. It's a potpourri of issues, from youth to women to economics, livelihood, etc. So you can't really pin that down as just one singular problem, one solution to it, but it'll take a collective approach to solve this problem. And Punjab has gotten into this state not because something happened overnight and everything went downhill. It has been happening over decades. And I think it's time, at least for the Punjabi and Sikh leadership globally and those within Punjab to really step up and get involved in restoring the state to its former glory.
Okay. Okay, so what I see from your answer is that you are saying that there is something missing, or there is a missing link uh, that is not able to bring this leadership out in the way that we need. For instance, maybe there is not enough mentorship. So that brings to me something that came up in our preparation for today, the idea that the mentorship in the form of Seva, the Sikh community is mostly missing. We give money, we give time, but we do not give our path, our honest account of how we got where we are, or the mistake we made, what we wish we would have known. What do you think? Is that something that is missing in the Punjab right now? That if we can fill that gap and it will solve many of our issues?
A better sense of Seva, or a more effective sense of Seva?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's Seva that is the issue in Punjab. People go to Gurdwaras, they do Seva over there. People set up langars, they do Seva over there. So what is important to understand is it's a lack of leadership. Lack of leadership by those who are currently involved and who should be involved.
So, what, in your sense, in your experience, you have been working in Punjab for such a long time, is that what creates this lack of leadership? Why it's the people that are talented are not able to come up as leaders? Is there a barrier? Is there a kind of a barrier they are facing in order to reach that position where that can be effective as you have been? What do
Mhm.
you think the barrier is? Or is this not the right way to say things what you have in mind?
I think there are two things, or maybe more than two things. One is that if somebody gets involved in Punjab in any way, shape, as a business person, academics, philanthropy, etc., what hurdles do they face in operating over there? Politically, socially, and economic environment, talent pool, etc., etc. So that's one part of it. The second part of it is that uh, uh, can can the government give incentives that are practical and pragmatic? Third is, how do we invite talent in that really accomplished people want to come and call Punjab home? Like Mohali is a tier two city. It's a great alternative to Gurgaon and Delhi. Delhi is populated, overpolluted in the winter time, less safe, etc. Mohali gives a very good alternative. It can give a very good alternative for software. Punjab gives a very good alternative for manufacturing, right? So my take is that there's a slew of things that have to be fixed, but they're all to do with the things I mentioned. But if you can do those things, invite leadership, make sure leadership is effective, invite talent, make it easy to do anything in Punjab, whether you're running a business, opening up a school, opening up a college, opening a manufacturing plant, opening up a startup. And yeah, some things require money, but more than that requires leadership, vision, a sense of deep purpose to make something happen, think outside the box, innovate. And that's where the global diaspora can bring in. I don't think the government by themselves should be held responsible for anything and everything, right? They can only do so much. And if you can work together, the leadership globally and the leadership in the politics and the bureaucracy in Punjab, if they can work together, then we have something cooking. But this again will take some time. This is not going to be an overnight, oh, we can fix the problem. This can take 20 years. And there's the approach you have to take. You can't take election cycle approach to it. You have to go in there and saying, we're going to go fix these problems, policy reframing and re-engineering, infra, talent, leadership. You bring these things, you give it a 20-year plan. And there's no reason, that Punjab cannot be among the top 3 to 5 states in the country.
I couldn't agree with you on this, more with you on this. Like, perhaps the only example come to my mind is that, why Mohali cannot be the next Bangalore. What breaks that, the equality between these two cities. Both of these places have a huge diaspora, like where South Indians are mostly in the Middle East countries, whereas the Punjabis are mostly in the Western countries. And the question is that how Bangalore was able to build such a strong city with like a very strong software hub, also known as the Silicon Valley of India, whereas that kind of initiatives were not taken either by the private players or by the government. And one story that, or one theory that always pops up during my conversation is the resource curse. That look, Punjab had much more resources in terms of agricultural, the soil was very fertile, water was very abundant,
Yeah.
which was not the case in the South India. And we got stuck in that cycle of like being an agrarian society and missed that bus. How much do you agree with that? And what do you think is the way out of that, if that's the main problem that we are facing right now is?
So, it's you can always blame somebody. You can always find faults in somebody. You can always blame or find faults in something. The question is not lack of resources, shortchanging of resources, redistribution of resources. Yes, it matters. Don't get me wrong, it matters. But when's the last time you saw phenomenal leadership in Punjab coming and saying, we're going to take this problem and solve it? And therefore, this is what we need. You can say, okay, let's start fixing a problem. It might take us 10 years to fix it, but let's make a year of progress and show people like, look, we started something, we made progress, and we now need more. and on the same time, you bring the Punjabi global leadership together so that they have visibility into what's going on, and therefore they start raising their hands saying, I want to get involved, I want to get involved. I think what we expect is some of people to come and just take everything over and just do it. Some people are waiting on the sidelines. Say, hey, if I go in there, I'm going to waste my time, because people don't have trust. People don't have confidence. People stop sending money because saying, hey, if you send money, I don't know where it's going to be applied if I send charity to Punjab. There's a lack of trust right now. Where do the resources go? Where does the money go, etc.? So how about we show success as a joint effort, collective effort. And by showing their success, we tell others that, look, we are successful. You can help us get here. Then you can get us help here. And you build upon it. Rome was not built in a day. You won't solve Punjab problem in a day, or even single one of them in a day. And we can't go with an approach, oh, in 3 years you're going to fix a problem. I don't think so. There's no problem in Punjab you can fix in 3 to 5 years. None, zero. And so if it takes that long to fix a problem, and there are many problems, then might as well start some pilots, show some successes. And that's the approach we have taken. We can talk about that in the course of our conversation. We've taken an approach of, let's build it, let's show success, and then others will show up to get involved. And we have succeeded.
I think that's the right time to bring that in, like the insights that you may have, or things that you may have learned over the course of past many years of working in Punjab, that what has worked and what others can learn that can build upon that. So can you enlighten us a bit regarding that?
Yeah, with Roundbus Foundation, which is now maybe in its 7th, 8th year over there, we have done a lot of good work. Of course, our corporate offices are there. For my first company, EdFX, and our second company, Round Glass. So the India offices were in Mohali. So we had our corporate affairs and corporate operations going on over there, both in software development and other things. But the big thing in Round Glass is the Round Glass Foundation. And in there, we have two major areas of concentration in Punjab. So one is the work we're doing in the villages of Punjab, where we are about, last count, 3,400 villages. We plan to be in north of 6,000 villages implementing three categories of initiatives. One is around environment and sustainability. In there, we have a project called a Billion Tree Project. We plan to plant 1 billion trees in Punjab. Now, if 1 billion trees are not planted in Punjab by 2038, Punjab will become a desert. So will Haryana, if 1 billion trees are not planted in that state. We are doing waste management where we recycle solid waste from homes into composting. So it doesn't create garbage dumps. The garbage is properly recycled. Introducing great sense of cleanliness in the villages and a sense of what sanitation is, what cleanliness is. And the villages have started becoming cleaner and cleaner. And no garbage dumps, no burning of the garbage, etc. Then we have started regenerative farming because of the Green Revolution and Punjab being the breadbasket for the country. The soil was over fertilized, over cultivated, and the water tables had dropped around 300, 350, sometimes 400 feet. So you can't even put bore wells in there. So we have now taken these three projects on the environment side of things: regenerative farming, waste management, and a billion tree project. We also have projects in the youth development side where we have sports centers and what we call learn labs in the afternoon. So kids go from school to our learn labs in the afternoon to evening sports. So it's a full cycle, 6 days a week for our sports centers, etc. And so what happens is the kids now not only learn immersively of how the world works, communication, problem solving, thinking outside the box, English speaking assistance, etc. So by focusing on things that the school doesn't teach them, but they need to know of when it comes to how the world functions and in the real life, we focus that on learn labs, and then they go and play for 2 to 3 hours in the evening. They play. We have two sports introduced so far. Football was our first sport. We just introduced volleyball last year. And so now the youth have a complete life cycle during the day. At home, they go tired. They don't have time for anything else in life because their life is not busy. Compared to after school, they have nothing to do, right? We plan to have north of 3,000 sports centers in 3,000 plus villages by the end of the year. We plan to have north of 1,000 learn labs by the end of the year. So we'll reach those milestones. We also have programs around what we call women equity and livelihoods. We have yoga centers where women yoga instructors who we have trained in the village to give yoga classes. They give yoga sessions. We have menstrual hygiene awareness workshops for women. We have created self-help groups for them to how to open bank accounts, do savings, and better financial management. We have started some livelihood centers for some women. And these are basically our most infant programs. If you look at environment, youth program, and women equity livelihood, the third one is our newest or the most infant, so to speak, of our programs. So when we did all of this, when we started in Punjab 7-8 years ago or something like that, we had a lot of pushback, or we were failing. Either there was bureaucratic pushback, or the project was not succeeding, and there were just a lot of issues. And so we experimented for about a couple of years. And then we say, okay, now we got the formula down. Because I was in Punjab for 2014, 2019. I said, okay, I think we got the formula down. We said, let's focus on the villages. And in the villages, here's the programs we're going to focus on. And once we kind of by trial and error discovered what is the programs we want to launch and we want to focus on, we started achieving great success. And as we achieved success, what happened was the government, the bureaucracy, the MCs and the DCs and the sarpanchs and the panchayats started seeing success, saying, oh my God, this thing works. These guys are coming in here. They're doing the job. They have no agenda. We have no commercial political agenda over there. We just come and do our work. We hire people from the villages, call them change makers, train them to do the work. And they have a career path from change makers to block change makers and above. So we're creating employment. We're putting all these programs in place. And guess what? They started coming and saying, what can we do for you that's within our power? So I could have gone to them and saying, give me something. I said, no, let's do something. In the process, they saw it, that their constituencies, their people, their villages are thriving, becoming better. The villages became walking, talking ambassadors of our good work. And we have achieved huge amount of success. If you really look at it, nobody in the world has taken 12,500 villages and enabled their holistic well-being with about 10 to 12 initiatives. We have around 6 right now. We're adding more like rainwater harvesting, chopper cleanup, etc. We have many others. So we plan to complete between 10 to 12 initiatives by 2035. So by showing success, others start saying, we can trust these guys. They come there, they do the job, they do it well, we see success, and they have no agenda. Their agenda is to help the village people, both youth, men and women, their economics and livelihoods, farming, etc. So now if other people came in, Sampreet, and did similar stuff, let's do small pilots and show success and build upon that success. So today we are so relevant and prevalent. We're the biggest foundation in Punjab. We have over about 800 to 900 feet on the ground. We were the first people when the floods happened. We were the first people to come to help when the first wave of COVID happened, at which point we served like 50,000 people, about 10,000 families in villages who were daily wage workers and elderly. In the floods, we had 800 people, boots on the ground, day one. Day one, because we have that many boots on the ground in Punjab villages, right? So we're building that infra, we're building the people base, we are maturing our programs, and people are now coming and saying, hey, adopt my village. I'm going to pay for Adopt My Village program, implement these initiatives. They are saying, okay, I'm going to my village every year. I'm seeing this. How can you help? So now people are coming to us and saying, we will give you money, we'll give you expertise, help implement your project in my village, with my people, right? Experts are coming, raising their hands saying, leverage my expertise. I want to help you out. Why? Because they've seen success and we evangelize the success and we don't take the credit. We give credit to everybody involved but ourselves. Magical formula, very, very successful.
Thank you, Sunny. That actually does sound like a very successful story. So, can I ask you one thing about, you said that you have to show some, prototype success in order to make it acceptable down the supply chain, like such that Sarpanches then accept what you're trying to do. How did you end up selecting those, the pilot projects that as we call in the randomized control trial literature? Like, was it something strategic that should not be very should not be very bureaucratic or not be very political? Were you trying to choose those topics and showing success there? Or it was just something which come up by, trial and error?
Um, it was not, I wouldn't say trial and error, nor was it highly calculated. Because we did a lot of experimentation beginning, both in cities like Mohali, as well as then we did a few village projects. So we did a number of pilots. We did painting the walls in a village. We wanted to neuter the dogs and help with that. So we were dabbling for the first, 18 months. You dabble with a number of things and saying, okay, should we do this and should we do that? Because you're learning the lay of the land, you're learning how people operate. You say, who do you have to talk to? How do you start a project? How do you get the expertise? So there's a lot of moving pieces. But to doing a number of projects in very small quantities, or as pilots, as we call it, we start realizing you start learning the terrain and say, okay, now I understand this terrain. I understand the people. We talk to a lot of people. We talk to elderlies and the sarpanches, and we talk to a lot of people saying, what are your problems? What can we do? Then from what they said to what our abilities were, we started mapping. Where do we start? And once you get started, we started as a Learn Lab, then the thinking just becomes increasingly better and better very quickly, because you learn more, people get involved, you execute and learn the data that you get from the execution of those projects, what's working, what's not working, if it's Learn Lab, how the kids are responding, are they learning something, what do they like, what do they don't like, how we can up the bar. So the moment you start with a project, you just, it's just a rapid way. If you just keep looking at the data and keep iterating, you can move an initiative from grade zero to grade 10 very quickly. And we have an entrepreneurial mindset, right? We want innovation. We want to do things differently. We want to run fast. We want to make decisions fast. So we put a business lens on the work we're doing in Punjab. That means what does a business think and how do they operate? How does a startup operate at a pace and intensity that's unrivaled? And so we didn't think of us as a foundation working over there. No, I said, no. We said we will work like a startup. We'll work like a business. We put our own money in, so we didn't have to, we could just do anything we wanted because it's our money. So we could move very, very fast. We could do things the way we wanted to do it, right? Without having to explain anything to anybody. And that was godsend because it allows us to kind of move very quickly versus, oh, I go to get some money. I can only apply in such and such way. Then I have to do reporting. We had none of the handcuffs. We just moved very fast. In the process, we build all our processes and templates and transparency systems and visibility and all the other good stuff. But we were a startup. We scrambled. We worked hard. We tried different things. We failed, but we failed fast. We leveraged our data and implementation details very, 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 very fast. So all of that put together has led to a fairly significant success. Like I said, we are the biggest foundation in Punjab. What we've accomplished in the last 5 to 6 years in Punjab, I don't think there's a foundation in India, not a single foundation in India, who in the first 5 to 7 years or 8 years have accomplished anything close to what we have done. And I'm not even talking about sports, which is a huge initiative of ours in Punjab. I would say take any foundation in India, and if they're 10 years old, they will not be able to match what we have done. Even come in close. And what we've done in the last 7, 8 years, we build an infrastructure, build a platform upon which can scale very well, right? So if I take 12,500 villages, enable their holistic well-being by 2035, it's a project that will be rivaled across the world in terms of can anybody match us? I'm not even in India, saying in the world, nobody's taken 12,500 villages, 20, 30 million people and enable their holistic well-being. Has never happened. But we want to do it. So if it can be done, we have shown it can be done. So we lead by example and let others get inspired to do. There are other sunny things all across the world. Let them all come on the platform. We all work together and we can save our beautiful state and restore the past glory.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that sounds amazing. So that brings me to the next point. Like how do we ensure, as you said in the early parts of this conversation, that like it's not gonna be a 10-year project. It took like at least 50 years, from let's say the richest states in India to not so rich state in India. As I said, it's now 10th in per capita terms. Um, and it's going to take multiple decades in order to go back, let's say achieve like a developed state status, at least within India. So how do we make sure that this, generations of Sunny Singhs, keep coming in? How do we create this pipeline of leadership and ensures that pipeline is secure and keep pumping out the leaders that we need? Like, do you have a plan for that?
Yeah, we have taken the leadership in that area. As a matter of fact, we have now, of course, we have created a fundraising team. We have our on the feet on the ground people, and we are marketing ourselves so that people know that something is being done in Punjab. But most importantly, we have started reaching out to the leaders that are associated with Punjab as a heritage, as a history, family-wise or culture-wise, etc. We start connecting with them, educating them on what we are doing, educating them about the problems of the state, educating them about how we're going to solve the problems and how we can collectively solve the problems on a singular platform. And it takes time. It takes time because to get a critical mass of awareness, it takes time. But once you get that, it just goes very fast. So we're doing that today. We have started reaching out to different associations, different bodies that are Punjabi and Sikh related or Punjab related, and say, okay, what are you doing? How are you doing your work? Can you work on our platform? How can we collaborate? How can we help you do what you're doing more effectively and better, etc. So that whole collaboration. So the conversations have started. that conversation. These are individual leaders as well as entities and businesses and associations and foundations. So the conversations have started. The next step is collaboration. And once you collaborate, showing success, implement and showing success. So conversations are going, I'm pretty certain, pretty confident by end of this year, we will announce a slew of partnerships of people who have come together and leveraging our platform to enable the reestablishment of the glory and to establish a thriving Punjab, as well as uplift the Punjabi diaspora globally with the issues they might have globally. So it has a two-pronged approach: global diaspora coming together, global Punjabi diaspora, and taking the leaders in the global Punjabi diaspora, those people who want to contribute, get them connected to Punjab and the work we're doing there. We have started that process. So we have had many conversations, more are happening, but we will announce partnerships one after the other, but a slew of them during the course of this year, and of course we'll build upon that. And then you'll see that instead of just Round Glass and our people, there are other people now all aligned enabling this happening, because we can bring the government to the table, bureaucracy to the table. We already have existing leaders, more are coming, so we'll have the convening power to bring them together and give them a sense of direction, give them the support they need, show them how to walk the halls of the government and the bureaucracy, how to get stuff done on the ground. We have a lot of knowledge around that, right? Because we've been doing it, in a pretty intense way. So we started those conversations. You will hear more about what we're doing on the global scale in the coming months and year. But we will announce a slew of collaborations happening this year itself.
That's wonderful. Can I push you a bit on this agenda? So how I see philanthropy, I see it as a way to fill the vacuum where state should be providing goods and services, right? Like, so it should be the state that who has been doing in the ideal world the billion tree project, or building like the sports complexes or these routines after school for kids. But state is not doing that, so we need philanthropists. Philanthropists do bring, their own resources and put that into the society, hope that this initial push can put the society into a better, development path. But at some point, we want state to come back and fill that vacuum, quote unquote, to give those goods and services back. You said, as you said, so I usually used to think that state doesn't have money. So you are bringing the capital and that's solving the problem. But you mentioned in the beginning that actually money is not the problem. The problem was something else. So can you enlighten us a bit on that, like why the state has failed in these areas to begin with, where philanthropists are coming and providing these goods and services? If it is not money, what was it?
Yeah, so money is important. Don't get me wrong, and let's not fool ourselves. Money is important. Financial resources are important. Access to financial resources are important. But that's not where the problem is. Um, uh, there is, I think, number one, there has to be a re-engineering of the policy framework for Punjab. What are the buckets or the boxes that Punjab should own 20 years from now and be the best at that uplifts the state? So there has to be a policy restructuring or re-engineering or grounds up re-engineering of what's the policy framework. Not only the policy framework that has to be announced en masse. You can start working one policy, announce another, and just keep building and keep iterating it. If you take that approach of working on these and iterating the policy framework, make it friendly to the things that you feel you want to bring in and progress in the state, whether it's agriculture, whether it's startup culture, whether it's manufacturing, or food processing, whatever that is. So one is a policy framework. I think that I think needs a lot of work. Second is then in parallel, like I said, they need to reach out to the leaders, not those people sitting in Punjab. Everybody sitting outside of Punjab, and saying, what will it take to invite them and get them to participate? Some people come for selfish reasons, saying, hey, I want to set up a business, make it friendly for me. So I'm saying I want to get involved and help the state out by giving my expertise or writing a check or whatever that is, either through a foundation or otherwise. So involving others into the state, outside pool of talent, not those sitting in Punjab, but those outside of Punjab, especially outside of India, to bring some progressive thinking to this, right? And give them, open the gates for them. Don't let them sit on the sideline or opine. Get them involved actively, right? So that's the second thing that I think is missing. The third thing is when you set up a framework, a policy framework, you have to enable exceptional implementation. I'll give you an example. If you want to open up a business in Punjab, I'll give you a counterexample. If I want to open a business over here in the US, I can do it in 24 hours. Yeah, I have to get the people, it takes time. I have to rent an office, it takes time, etc., etc. But the only thing I have to do is I can open a business in 24 hours. Permitting is fast, paperwork is fast, everything is very crisp and clear and well defined. And the only impediment is me and our people. The city is not an impediment, the state is not an impediment, the country is not an impediment. They have put the framework in place, we can run fast like a bullet train. In Punjab, even though they made good progress, it's not enough. If we, for example, we are doing let's say we're doing a project and we want to, build a stadium. Now, if I want to build a stadium, let's say a hockey stadium in Punjab, let's say investment in the state, let's say investment in infra, let's say investment in youth, let's say investment in sports. So the only conversation I should be having is somebody from the government or bureaucrat or the bureaucracy saying, Sunny, let's sit down. What do you need? And if I give you everything you have, can you open up 2 stadiums instead of 1? So they should saying, forget 1 stadium. Tell me how I can make you do 2 stadiums. What can I do for you? So you make 2 stadiums instead of 1. The problem now is we get mired into just the 1 stadium itself, just has all kinds of issues. So instead of helping me build a 2nd stadium, I am roadblocked in building the 1st, right? And so the implementation of the policy framework has to have some what I call legs and chops and authority. That means I should go to one person and the person saying, you will talk to nobody, you will talk to me, and I will do it at the speed of light. That means if a file can move, I'll personally move it for you. If a document has to be signed, I'll personally get it signed by you. You don't have to talk to anybody. Nobody's going to bother you. You just come to me, tell me everything you need, and I will go to anybody and everybody in the bureaucracy and the government, and I will get things done for you as fast as humanly possible, given all the checks and balances, right? You have to, if you're doing environment clearance, whatever that is, but streamline the entire thing. So I only talk to one person. I think, let me do my job. Let me not spend 10 people talking to 50 people on your side. Let my people talk to one of you. You get everything done. Now suddenly I guess, my God, it's like, I want to open 3 stadiums because I didn't realize I can move that fast. Now suddenly you've incented a guy who wanted to build 1 stadium to build the 2nd and the 3rd, saying, all I had to do was just work as fast as I could. They also had examples and they had other people with similar projects, and they said, everything you want, we can make it happen. If I was to do a stadium over here, my biggest issue will be how to do financing for it, nothing else. I don't worry about the government. Land one can get, it's a very clean process to acquire land. Permitting is very simple. Government clearances are very simple. You still go through all your rules and regulations, don't get me wrong, but you can't skirt you can't just shortcut. But the thing works like a bullet train. And all I do is enable financing, bring my vendors in, finish the project, commercialize it, done, thank you very much, right? So what will take me over there in decision-making and back and forth? I build a stadium over here, right? And in that case, China is a very good example of how fast they move. China, when a business comes in saying, I want to do something, they're saying, okay, wonderful. This is one of our strategic initiatives. What do you want? People, land, financing, whatever you want. But we want you to be successful because this is strategic to us, right? So if you look at that kind of mindset, it's a very different mindset, right? And that's what Punjab needs today, is a combination of all of that, and just get out of the way of entrepreneurs and leaders who want to get something done there. Just be on the side saying, what can we do for you? And we'll give you one number to call. You do your job. And we're here. Now, if we can't help you with the problem, we'll tell you. But you have any problem, you just call us. One number. And our person will be at your office. You won't even have to come to our office. We'll come to your office. We'll make that phone call. We'll go to the site with you so that you tell us what you need from us. And that is it. We'll get the job done. It's our problem. Build the stadium. Launch the project. Make it happen. Right? That is missing. That is a far cry in Punjab. Maybe other states have similar, but Punjab is a far cry from being there.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on this. Yeah, it's a very depressing state of affairs, but I think it's kind of a pan-India story. The bureaucracy and the hurdles to entrepreneurship and business creation. I don't know, or I'm not sure if Punjab is an exception. But I do know that I do think that the political economy of Punjab is such that that makes it harder. So one example that I think is right point in place is the electricity charges. So the big voter base in Punjab is the landowners. So the electricity for pumping the water out of the land is the fee for that is almost zero, which means the state has to run a deficit on that account. And how they funnel that deficit is by taxing the firms, by having electricity cess on them, which raises the cost of production on firms. And that's one of the reasons why the industry left Punjab and went to Himachal Pradesh. Like not all of it, but a big chunk of it. So the political economy was such that that was not conducive for the industrial production. Now,
Yeah.
and I think this links to this question of why China is better, at least in the industrial production sense, and India or democracies in general are not, because of this very short-term, uh, very short-sighted view of the world. And I don't know how to fix it, but maybe you have perhaps more insights on it. Like you want to keep this 5 year electoral cycle, but you want governments to be like, more forward looking than just for 5 years and not go into this like petty policies which are very harmful in the long run.
Yeah. So when you look at the electricity problem, right? Uh, there should be a massive state-center collaboration on making all the villages in Punjab solar. Let's say it takes $2 billion or $3 billion of investment. I'm just taking a wild number. Okay, you say, okay, if the next 10 years, we're going to make all the villages of Punjab solar, we need to spend $3 billion. Now, if you made all of Punjab villages solar for house lights, house lighting, street lighting, and agriculture, that is a huge shift. And then the extra energy can be given back to the grid. So we're giving electricity free to farmers. Because nothing is free, but you're giving it free. You're trying to plug in other areas, either loopholes or other extraneous taxes, etc., to make up for that lost revenue. You now have clean energy, solar farms, cost nothing, outside of the capex, literally. You give energy back to the grid. You don't have power outages. Now that's a sea change, all because you need $2, $3, $4 billion. It's not difficult to acquire $2, $3, $4 billion for a project of this scale, or if it's 5 billion or 6 billion. If there was a council created, a committee created with the experts from business, from solar energy, from how the grid works, if you bring all of those experts together and saying you do your different paths, but in the next 10 years, we have to make all of Punjab villages solar, can be done. And if done, it is a massive, massive disruption of how things happen today that are highly inefficient. right? Clean energy, no power cuts, no cost, energy back to the grid, you make money off of that, whether it's street lighting, whether it's house lighting, or this farm energy for electricity for farming. That's you know, now why doesn't somebody think like that? I do not know. I simply do not know. But so we decided, let's think like that. So Rounders Foundation is thinking how to make all the villages solar. So we're taking that, thinking and say, okay, let's get the experts together. We'll form the experts. We'll do the budgeting. We'll figure out how to find the money and then make Punjab villages solar. 12,500 villages to us. They are total all solar villages. Each village having a solar farm. Each village. Now that by itself will create a lot of jobs because there is operation upkeep, there's maintenance upkeep, um, etc. You need we'll have the best, thought leadership and intellectual horsepower in solar energy that we can share with the rest of the country. It'll be a pilot at scale. 12,000 villages going solar. That means all of India can go solar. And what a revolution will that be, right? Not dependent on a lot of the energy sources that we currently depend on because we have enough. Everybody knows it. We have enough heat in India. We have enough solar energy in India. We tap into it. So why it hasn't happened, I do not know. But we believe, okay, this is one of the things that we will do in the villages of Punjab as what Ramdas Foundation is doing.
I think there are these billion-dollar questions that I also don't have answer to, that why policymakers don't take actions that seems win-win for everyone, where they will
Mm-hmm.
win elections and people will be better off if they do this, but
Mm-hmm.
somehow those actions are missing. Perhaps there is a gap between the expertise and their expertise and what the job requires. As a in the Round Glass Foundation, are you also, when you're talking to government agencies or bureaucrats, are you also thinking of knowledge spillovers where you are providing some expertise in how to think about a problem, how to solve a problem? Uh, is it something that is part of the mission there?
Um, yes, the short answer is definitely yes. So we'll not only look at the business model, we'll not only look at the budgeting. We won't not only look at the equipment required, but the operationalization and maintenance of it, because this is a pretty sizable project for every village in Punjab to have this thing. So the short answer is yes.
Okay. Okay. Let me shift a gear a bit, and I want to pick up on the point you made about the global Sikh diaspora and its connection to Punjab. And I feel that, and we also had this conversation that there is some sort of a disconnect where people might want to help, but they might be expecting some barriers in Punjab. So there is like, kind of a hesitation. Or in general, there is just a disconnect, where Sikh diaspora or the youth in the in United States, for instance, is not connected to its Punjabi roots. How do you think of that? Is that a real problem, or do you think it's just it doesn't bear the reality check?
So, if I take, one's youth in Punjab, of course, but if I take the youth, the Punjabi youth globally,
Mm.
uh, they come from the same DNA. So they are enterprising, they're hardworking, they are fun-loving, they're larger than life, et cetera, et cetera. So they come with the DNA. But what's not happening is enabling and allowing them to be connected with what I call Sikhi or Punjabiyat or a heritage and culture. I believe next to nothing has been done about that. And so the next generation growing up is not connected to Punjab, is not connected to our culture, is not connected to our language, is not connected to our heritage. It doesn't understand what it means to do Seva, what does Sikhi mean, what does Punjabiyat means, what Punjab is all about, what sacrifices we made, our entire history, right? And so if you have not, see, one is to not know what called home. Punjab, Punjab is home for the Punjabis. If Punjab becomes a rogue state or deteriorates, then what do we call home? And the second is to be connected to what we call a civilization. I think with the youth, the problem is they're not connected to their civilization. And if that doesn't happen, like if you go to Gurdwaras, you won't find too many youngsters over there because they just don't want to go there. They don't understand what the Ragis and Granthis are saying. The Gurdwaras don't cater to youth properly. If you look at churches, they have beautiful programs for youth, for all ages, for different reasons. So the youth love going there. They understand what the preacher and the priest is saying. It speaks to them. They have programs for youth, etc., etc., volunteering opportunities, etc. And youth attracts more youth. We have totally failed at that in the Gurdwaras globally. I go to the Gurdwara, I don't understand what the Granthi and Ragi are saying. I can understand the language. And they can make it fun, they can make it inviting, they can make it intriguing, they can make it simple to understand. And because everybody, it's nice to hear the pious words and what they mean in Guru Granth Sahib, for example, or the Gurbani, etc., and the Shabads and whatnot. But just by reciting the original text is not going to get me excited. Make me understand it. Make me connect to it. The youth has that problem. The Gurdwaras are not connecting them. We are not doing enough like the Jewish community and others do for the youth and for the next generation. We are totally self-absorbed into making our own fortunes. In the process, we're going to lose our home. What's the point of making a great fortune if you don't have a home? What are you going to do with that fortune? Because that youth, once disassociated, is never coming back. Because if the generation after that, so if I'm totally disconnected, my kids will never be connected. So if the next generation is not connected, the generation going to come after that, it'll be called the lost generation, the truly lost generation. They won't know where they belong, right? And Punjabi and Sikh adults all over the world, men and women, have to understand that they're losing the youth, they're losing the next generation. And yes, there's no harm working hard and making money and driving nice cars and living in nice houses. But what they're doing is they're killing the pipe to the next generation. They're killing the linkage to the next generation, and they're losing their own kids and the youth of the Punjabi global diaspora.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that there is a disconnect between the cultural heritage, the religion, and the youth. But so what are your views on how we can mentor the Punjabi youth across the world so that they can get connected back to its land, its culture, and heritage and become the ambassadors for, the Punjab? Like, is there
Yeah.
a,
So
yeah,
yeah. So no, it's a good
sorry.
question, Sampreet. One is there are many associations and groups who are doing different things. They have to be more empowered with resources, financial resources, leadership, mentors getting involved in shaping those associations and groups. I find that's lacking. And pretty much a lot is lacking on that front. Second is the leaders of the Punjabi and Sikh community have to take it upon themselves to get their behind off the chairs they're sitting on and do something for the community. There is an absolute lack, I won't say 100%, there's a tremendous lack of leadership towards solving the issues of Punjabis and Sikhs globally, both at the global level and Punjab level. I think the leaders who are highly accomplished in any area, as in academics, in business, in tech, in manufacturing, in philanthropy, in the government, the leaders are highly accomplished globally who come from the Punjabi and Sikh diaspora. Some of them have to take it upon themselves and saying, let's some people collaborate together and solve this issue. Or how can I, they've run businesses, they have created businesses, they've created jobs. They have the intellectual and business horsepower to solve problems. And I think they need to step up. From our side, we have chapters across, we are building. So we have today about 6 or so chapters for the work we're doing in Punjab globally, like in New York and DC and New Jersey and Seattle and San Francisco, etc. And our goal is to create 100 chapters globally by 2035, wherever there's a Punjabi and Sikh sizable diaspora. And create youth programs in each of those chapters, specific youth programs for the youth, run by the youth, defined by the youth. And so one is finding those people who will create the youth component of the chapter. So find those people, pay them properly, hire them, fund them properly, and let them just run the program that matter to them. Whether I don't care if they have a Bhangra party and a Gidda party, to speaker series, to going for treks and meet and greets and having an annual conference, what do they want to have? Right? They can do. And in the process, we insert and immerse them in understanding Sikhi, understanding Seva, understanding Punjabi, understanding our history, culture, etc. And present that information in a way that's palatable and enjoyable by them. We can always inject that in there, because creating chapters all over the world and creating youth chapters all over the world gives you the platform framework. I can pretty much do anything on that framework, right? I can do anything on the platform. Once the platform is there, I can infuse these things. I also give a place for other leaders saying, look, we're doing it. How can you come and help us? Right? So we are creating the platform globally with the 6 or 7 chapters today. We'll have 100 chapters, and we hope that this year we'll launch the first youth pilot, hopefully in Seattle, the pilot for the youth program, run it for about a year, show success, and then replicate everywhere else.
But that I think is a super cool step, and thank you for taking that. So let me push you a bit on this. So how do you, so you mentioned regarding that the disconnect between the, the religious texts, particularly the religious text. So there is a culture part that is, there is a disconnect, and you can solve by creating this, let's say, get-togethers and more holistic interactions. But the disconnect between the texts and the youth, I think that is much bigger. And that is partly, as you were saying, that it's hard to understand what the Granthis are saying in the Gurdwaras. It's not that I don't understand Punjabi. It's just that the way they are kind of, you know, delivering the information is not palatable to the young minds. Okay, so I want to understand from you, how can we, what kind of reforms are needed there? Because when I meet people here in Europe, their process of, their granthis, quote unquote, their selection process is very different. What do you think? Maybe it's a very controversial topic, but if you want to skip, we can skip it. But do you have any thoughts on that as well?
No, it doesn't. Whether you look at the Granthis and the Gurdwaras or whether you look at anything else when it comes to our heritage and our culture, things are not that difficult. It's a lack of leadership. Full stop. There's nothing else. So if I want to, let's say, what's stopping me? Let's say I was not doing anything else. I am happy. I would be very effective in going to all the Gurdwaras and say, how do I standardize everything for you? From expectations and selection of Granthis. How do you operate? The money you collect, how can you deploy that properly? If you have extra money, what do you do with it? How do you find talent to operate your Gurdwaras? What kind of programs do you run there? Can we have standardization of youth programs? Can we have standardization of Sangat programs? Can we have standardization of electronics? And then find somebody common and say, okay, we have all these manuscripts today that explain what we do. How about we just slice and dice and start somewhere, and let's produce this books in the first 12 months, and then this books and this books that for different age groups, maybe from grade 1 to grade 12, and then for college students and adults. So you have a topic, 12 levels for grades, or you can even have, junior, mid, and, just like in, you have elementary school, middle school, high school. So you have 3 levels, let's say.
Yeah.
And then you have for college level, and then you have adults, right? Take the same topic and produce different versions. And, somebody like me can deploy a publisher, scholars, authors, and bring them together, all Punjabi and Sikhs, and say, okay, now produce this stuff for me. Okay, all the Gurdwaras, I'm going to create a library for you. I'll give you electronic and I'll give you hard copies of it. Put all of them in there. And then use them for giving discourses to others. And I'll run that program. So I can implement the program that Jews and the churches are so successful at, but for the Sikhi culture, the Punjabi culture, It's not a difficult thing to do, except that, if I was doing it, I will have no problem getting this done. Absolutely zero problem. I can take 10,000 gurdwaras across the world and I will make it happen in every gurdwara. Not a problem. But again, it's a project of size, right? Somebody has to step up and saying, I want to take this over. I want to put serious money behind it. I'll collect people around it. And our goal is make gurdwaras inviting and enticing for our youngsters, for everybody coming there, including, you know, Christians and other religions. They can come and study us. We are a religion of service and seva and giving. They can come and sit and, oh, what are these guys saying? Let me learn from them. Let me get some solace in my life. They have a sense of langar prasad and kara and seva. Let me do that. Let me participate. Let me get involved in the langars. Let me go cook for them. Let me part of their community. Let me learn their culture. Invite them. It's not a difficult thing to do and run the program so well. Gurdwaras are clean, they're methodical, everything is done well, sense of aesthetics, sense of, how you speak, who you speak to, different halls for different groups of people, have other activities in the evening around celebrations of the festivals, not just, there's a festival, let me go to the Gurdwara, let me matha teko and then take off. Yes, that's okay, nothing wrong with that. But you ain't moved the needle for anybody. When you got the community together, but you've done nothing for them. Outside of Gurdwara aao, matha teko, langar khao, te nikal jao. That ain't going to work.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that has been my childhood. That's what I did even when I was in Punjab and in Europe as well. And I feel that there is this culture of sermons in the other religions like Christianity and the Judaism, where they make it very interesting how they deliver the information. And it's kind of, maybe it's more catered towards different age groups, and perhaps like maybe want to think more in that direction. So someone in the audience has asked, like, how can one get involved with the work you have been doing in Punjab?
Very easy. Connect with us. Connect with us. They can send an email to Sunny, SUNNY, sunny@roundglass.com. They can go to our site and get involved. Our new site's also getting launched. Connect with us, and we'll connect you to the right people. We'll share with you how you can get involved, what kind of things you can do. You might have ideas, you might learn from them and say, yeah, that's a good idea. We want to get you involved in this capacity because you never thought of that. Reach out to us. Reach out to us, and we'll be so delighted that if you want to get involved in Punjab, or you want to get involved in bringing the Punjabi diaspora globally together and get them involved in Punjab. We'd be happy to work with you on both the sides, both globally from a diaspora perspective and Punjab as our land perspective. This is our home, and we must clean up our house and also make it thrive. Punjab has to thrive.
Yeah. So please get in contact with Sunny if you are interested in helping the cause. There's another question in the audience, like, can you share some experiences? Perhaps we have already touched a bit upon that in the previous 1 hour. So what are some challenges that you have faced, or what are the barriers that you have made, like some unique experiences that you faced while solving the problems or while you were actively involved in Punjab with Round Glass Foundation?
So
Is there some?
yeah,
Yeah.
first of all, I would another idea came to mind. First is that you must have patience and you must be committed, and you will overcome every problem. So there's no such thing as, oh, there's a problem that I can't deal with. You'll encounter problems from every angle because first you're not used to the operations over there. You're coming from outside, and Punjab works a different way, India works a different way, people work a different way. So you have to understand the lay of the land. So you have to have patience and you have to have determination. When you have those two things, there's nothing you can't get done in Punjab. First, Number two, if you're encountering problems, come talk to us. We'll tell you how we solve those problems. And if you haven't, we might discuss with you and find solutions for you. So we'll be happy to converse with you and saying, look, I'm encountering this problem. I want to do this for my state. I don't know how to get started, or how do I solve this particular issue or problem or headwinds, and we'll help you with that. Outside of that, yes, problems come all the time. Sometimes people problem, educating them, change their mindset, ensuring that there's no leakage in the system, ensuring our projects are happening efficiently. The vendors sometimes you work with, all of that, there'll be some, but that's what I call life. That's part of running a business, so to speak. You're running an entity, you have people. These are part of the course. You'll have them, sometimes you'll have this problem, sometimes you'll have that problem. But if I look at major problems, no, we don't have any major problems. And what we have done is, because we are so determined, we are so focused, we have really exceptional people on the ground, highly committed, and we have done things so methodically, in a very creative, innovative way, that we have done things differently. Every time we look at something, we say, okay, how can we do it so that we can scale really well and it just has the maximum impact, but never done before, right? So we are out of the box thinkers, so to speak. So I can't sit here and saying, look, also the first 2-3 years when we were really grappling, what the heck do we do? We haven't had any issues, showstoppers, as I call it. I know this is part of running a business. You have the day-to-day issues that you deal with, or what people say, such as life.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It's problems are part of life, and every problem you solve, you learn something. Even if you fail, like, you learn something, and it helps you to succeed in the next problem you will face. So can I ask you one thing on that? Like, you have been focused on many different villages in Punjab. So why did you choose to work in a, not in a scattered way, but in a very many different villages, but not, let's focus on one particular region and try to make it as a, the example district, or an example space, and then we expand that model across Punjab. What was the reasoning in choosing one model versus the other?
To some extent, that's not correct, and because we have 6 initiatives. Some villages have only 1 initiative, some have 2, some have 3, some have all 6. And so whether we took a district, or we are not, we are in all the districts. Whether we took one district and focused on it versus all districts didn't really matter to us, because we are at a point where another 10 years would have implemented everything. So we have, 12,500 villages is a huge scalable pilot. And so for us, we have to go into friendly villages. Villages are friendly to us, that are inviting us to do work. And so we just picked, we have a way to pick up villages, etc. So we have implemented enough initiatives, enough villages. That's the first 100, the first 200, the first 300. That today we have 3,400 villages, and we just, there's no concept pilot anymore. We're just charging through. I'll give you another example. Villages we do a lot in sports, for example. We have a football academy, a field hockey academy, a tennis academy, a golf academy. And we have a very elaborate sports system, right? We have village sports at the very, very lower level, where we have an annual village sports festival. Last time, 700 villages come this year. When we have it later this year, we expect north of 2,000 villages participating in a complete league system that leads to a finale in Mohali. We have, in each sport, we have what we call development grassroots centers, where there's a belt in football or hockey, where those sports are played, and there's good talent. And then we have elite academy on top of it. So we have elite academy, development centers, grassroots centers in various sports. Again, we started somewhere. We started with elite youth in one sport. Then we got the concept of development centers, then village sports, and we started bringing them all together. Now, certainly, Punjab is going to become powerhouse of sports. Powerhouse of sports, full stop. All our teams are number 1 in the country, for all age groups, in football and hockey. Tennis, we have won like 800 plus titles in less than 5 years. Ungodly number. National, international. All our golf academy kids, about 15 of them, which is less than a year old, our golf academy. All of them are number 1, 2, and 3 in the country, right? So we start somewhere. We see what works. In a startup, you can't say, I'm going to only going to do this. You start experimenting, you move fast, you scale, you learn more things than before you know it. Well, you achieve cruising altitude, right? So there's no fixed formula to that. You figure out what works, what doesn't work, move fast in one direction, slow down in the other direction, start combining things. But given a scale of things, putting focus on one district, then another district, didn't make any sense for us. But given we are 10 years out into really achieving what our vision was set out to be by 2035, we are running like a bullet train.
I'm very happy to know the numbers on the sports initiative. I think that's something that we really need, for not just for Punjab, but for whole India. Uh, so there is another question in the audience that is about your experience. So have you found that Sikh Guru's teachings have enabled you to attain your professional and entrepreneurial success with Round Glass, as well as to now drive you towards enabling these new initiatives?
I think being a Sikh inherently brings a certain amount of qualities in you, even if you didn't read anything. I think it's in our DNA. In our DNA, it is do things for other less privileged, serve the community, be in service of, be enterprising, be bold, have a clear North Star, fear something bigger and more powerful than you in terms of not a human being, but they are forces of nature that are much bigger than you. So your ego never be bigger than the forces of the divine. So yeah, live and let live. These are universal principles, but very well said in our religion and very well articulated and made the basis of our religion. Yeah, there are many others. But the very fact that we think like this, our scriptures say things like this, and they're easy to follow. And I went to Guru Krishna Public School till 10th grade in New Delhi. I studied divinity, maybe it was osmosis, and I just think stayed in my mind. But I believe every Sikh is like that. And for them, every Punjabi is like that. We just have to bring it out in them, give them an opportunity to exercise what's already within them. They don't have to acquire it. They don't have to learn it. It is within us. It is part of our DNA. We have to give ourselves an opportunity to unleash that potential and that energy within us to do good, right? So I believe that my upbringing, my role models are my parents, being a Sikh, having studied divinity, and also the sacrifices the Sikhs have made for India, for the community, for the country. It inspires me. I say, what great people we are, that we have protected others in times of their need. It's like, it gives me goosebumps saying, man, I'm proud to be a Sikh. I'm a special guy. I'm a special man. Because I come from a heritage and a lineage that is so powerful, so apart, so differentiated, that I believe Sikhs are the most powerful, best, there's nobody better than a Sikh. They are the best human beings in the world. And I come from that lineage. I'm so proud of it. And inspires me that I have to stay true to that, because I want my kids to think of me as dad continued that lineage. And so we are so proud to be Sikhs. It is a matter of pride to be a Sikh. If one was so fortunate to be born a Sikh, that you're saying, look at my history and look at my lineage. We brought glory to everybody that we touched. I think that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, beautifully said. Uh, I think we should end the conversation at this beautiful note. It was a pleasure to talk with you, Sunny. If you have any last words, please go ahead. Otherwise, we'll finish the session.
No, I think everybody who's listening to what we are trying to say, get involved in any way, shape, or form. And it's not about money. It's about a commitment of time, a intent to do something good. And I would say just in any small way, just get involved. And if you want to get involved with us, reach out to us. We'll be happy to get you on our train. And thank you again, Sampreet, for giving me this opportunity to talk to you and your audience.
Yeah, thank you, Sunny. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and you will get the information for the next webinar. Thank you. Bye.